Okay, everybody, I'm gonna spoiler review of the Acolyte season finale, season one. Um, let's dive right into it. It was basically about I think it starts out with Soul telling May about what really happened, but she gets loose. Um, I think she uses her droid to, I don't know, disable Soul or something, or somehow gets away from Soul. Gets in a ship that's attached to the main ship, like a smaller ship, and gets away. And he actually brought her to her home world of Brendok, and so the little guy, for some reason, Basil, disables the ship so they can't get to May. And I think he sensed that Soul had bad intentions and was going to hurt her. And maybe he figured that wasn't the right way to go. We should apprehend her, bring her in for questioning, whatever, and not actually kill her and hurt her. Um, I don't know. I don't think it was that big of a plot hole why Basil did that, the little Weasley guy, the tracker. I don't think that's a plot hole like some people are saying. It was a great chase sequence through a asteroid field or something, or whatever that was, or is it a ring around the planet? I don't know. And then both ships crashed on the planet, and then he's searching for her in the witches' coven, um, where they lived, and it's now abandoned and burned down. And you hear um, distant cries of the things that happened that night, almost by using the force. And then um, May, not May, Osha and Kamir board a ship to go look for them. Right as they're taking off, right where Kamir lives, his little hut, you see a Sith with little sharp hands, and it looks just like what was in the books and stuff. The picture of Darth Plagueis the Wise that taught Palpatine, he was his master, taught him how to stop people from dying, which initially he used as some kind of tactic to turn Anakin to the dark side. So you and John Roca basically said, "Oh, there's no Sith from the Skywalker saga." Well, yeah, there is. He was mentioned in it. Darth Plagueis the Wise, or Darth Plagueis, and so you saw him. You never see him again in the episode, but you saw him. So they all make it to the planet, and once Soul goes off on his journey, the little guy Basil turns on the tracking thing so the Jedi could find him, which they do. And there's a big confrontation. He has a really cool lightsaber battle with um with Kamir, which I think, if for that alone there, it ups the ante for this. Maybe the best lightsaber battle we've seen since, I don't know, since maybe the prequel trilogy or era. Although I really like some of the lightsaber battles in the sequel trilogy too. So, really good lightsaber battle, and then the Jedi, before they get there, um, May tells Osha what really happened, that her mother was killed, and then as she's fighting, as they're fighting her, Kamir and Soul, she says to her, or he gets Soul to admit, or she gets Soul to admit what he did, that he killed their mother. And Osha hears it, and she's enraged. So enraged that she kills Soul by choking him to death. But first, she stuns him, stabs him with her droid, and it shocks him, and she force chokes him to death. So then they get the hell out of Dodge by taking that shaft that the mine shaft that May took when she fell, and they get out, and they run off into that tree where Soul had first found them, and they showed that in the last episode, and the other Jedi concoct that, you could tell they're like concocting something, and they go look for it for Kamir and Soul, and I mean Kamir and because Soul's dead at this point. Kamir and May and Osha, and before they could find them, Osha's like, "I'll go with you, and you could let my sister go." And some people thought this was a cop out to split them up or whatever. Why couldn't they both go? But I don't think May really ever wanted to be, or really was cut out to be, an acolyte. So maybe it was just the way it was meant to be. And Kamir gave her a mind wipe, gave May a mind wipe, and the Jedi apprehended her, and the other two got away. And the last scene of the show, or a couple of last scenes, well, right before they go back to the Jedi Temple, they show a really cool scene on what it looks like an Octu planet, or how do we say Actu, where Luke was, and I don't know if that's a sister planet or the actual planet, but um, they show Osha and Kamir holding hands, and these waves coming up over the rocks, and then it goes from that to the interrogate May, the green bald chick, and she doesn't remember anything. She hardly remembers anything, just like the bits and pieces, but doesn't even know she has a sister. And um, she basically goes to the council and tells them, this was all Soul. There was no Sith. It was all Soul. And doesn't even mention this. It just says it's all Soul that did this. He killed all the witches. He killed all the Jedi. It was a plot by Soul the whole time. And she totally lied to them. And this is something people are saying is a why did this happen? Why did the Jedi fall for it? Well, they didn't know. Nobody knew but the Jedi that were involved. So that's why they bought it. And then the last scene is her going to a chamber and saying, "Master, I need to talk to you." And you see the back of Yoda's head. So I'll tell you what, for the Yoda scene, he didn't say anything. You didn't see his face. You see the back of his head. For the Yoda scene, and for the Darth Plagueis scene, Darth Plagueis the Wise, I think those make this show, it ups the ante a lot. It's like it really makes the show for me. And they definitely left it open for a season 2, or as someone brought up in my message board, possibly a show in that timeline, maybe a show in that timeline, maybe something along the lines of a Palpatine backstory, because Darth Plagueis was his master. And that would also have Osha and maybe May and Kamir in it. And it would show how they all die, maybe at the hands of Palpatine. Who knows? Maybe he takes on a new apprentice and it's Palpatine. Um, we will have to wait and see if there's a season two. I think as much as some of the naysayers might think that people don't like this show, judging from what I'm seeing on Twitter and my message boards alone, I think people really like this show and I think it's popular. And I think the people that don't like it are either people that are just being really nitpicky and are there in the minority, and people that are, racist, misogynistic, against the LGBTQ community. So it's people like that that are making a bad name for Star Wars. And I personally loved it. I think most of the fans loved it. And can't wait for a possible season two. So if you want season two to happen, go on Twitter, hashtag, and um, you just write Disney, Hulu, Disney Plus, Robert Iger, everybody you could possibly think of who might have a Twitter account with the Lucasfilms. Kathleen Kennedy, I don't think she has a Twitter account. Maybe Dave Filoni, if he has a Twitter account. Write them, tell them how you feel, and there should be a hashtag renew the acolyte. So if you go there, you can find places to write um, Lucasfilms. So anyway, I really liked it. Series gets a solid 9.5 from me. The whole series. I really enjoyed it. Can't wait to hear what Perry Nemiroff has to say. She really liked the first 4 episodes. I really respect her opinion, and I hope she doesn't rip it apart. But I'm sure she'll be fair, like she usually is. Even when she doesn't like something, she doesn't really rip it apart. So, anyway, loved it. 9.5. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. And if you have seen it, um, please tell me what you think. Later, dudes. May the force be with you.